Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Sir Wilkins of the Jobbeteers podcast, and today's going to be a good day. Today's going to be a fun day. It's going to be an interesting day because we have somebody special on the podcast, on our segment, Talk to Us. So, we have Dave Anderson here. You go Dave or David Anderson?
Dave. I hate David. I do.
Really?
It's formal.
It's formal?
It's very formal. It's a lot of weight. Every time I hear it, I can hear my father, and his boo was going, David! And my mom, David! My wife went, David! So Dave makes me feel like it's all good. We're all on the same level.
Okay. So, YouTube world, Instagram world, and podcast world has Dave Anderson with me.
Don't call me David. No, it's cool.
Dave Anderson with me, a.k.a. David Anderson.
Yes. I ain't going to fight him. You beat my ass.
Number one thing, let's talk about, you're an author.
Yes.
Number one best-selling author.
Yes.
You're a business guy to the core.
Yeah.
Because he has something called the Business Bully.
Yeah.
And he talks about how to make your business a whole lot better. We're going to get into that. There's a reason why he's on today.
Yes.
Is we're going to connect wrestling and business together.
Absolutely.
Also, you are kind of a former wrestler in some regards of things.
Yeah, I will say this: two-time NCAA heavyweight champion, 3-time tag team champion, North Carolina Wrestling Alliance. I was a jobber in
North Carolina.
Come on, Razor! But I was a jobber in FCW for about 2 weeks.
What is FCW?
Florida Championship Wrestling.
And for people who don't know, FCW is what became NXT.
Absolutely.
Of today.
Yes.
So FCW is very important to WWE history in general because we're talking about guys like Dave Bautista, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, who else is it?
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton. I think Kurt might have did some stuff in there as well.
Yeah, Kurt did some stuff in there for me.
And you're talking about the premier guys from the Ruthless Aggression era.
Absolutely.
And he was tussling and bustling with them. Yeah. Clanking the iron with them.
Making them look good.
Which ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Our podcast is called the Jobbeteers podcast.
I am a jobber full of jobbeteers.
There's nothing wrong with that because you made the guys look better.
Absolutely.
So, before we get started on what you're currently doing,
of course,
let's walk through how you got to FCW and why you stopped being in FCW.
Okay. So I was in North Carolina and a guy came and he was trained by Shawn Michaels and his name was Johnny Lightning and he said, "Kid, you gotta look. I think you should wrestle." And I said, "Well, I love wrestling. I watch it every week." He's like, "You can do this. I'm going to train you myself." And so for 6 weeks, all I did was take bumps. Bump after bump after bump after bump. And, a couple of concussions and things of that nature. I went for it and I just got the bug, man. So you're in, the typical stuff you hear, big old halls and things of that nature, learning how to put together a ring. And, I fell in love with it. But really what turned me on was the merchandising. I liked the money aspect. I liked the ability to make people suspend disbelief live and not in a, I'm at medieval times kind of way. People were invested in whether or not I got hurt because I was a local DJ. So I'm DJing, I'm doing hip hop records at night. I'm interviewing P.D. Pablo and Eric Sermon. And then also, hey, I'm going to be at the Kingston Armory, wrestling Babyface Jenkins. And, this one's for the title, that kind of thing. And it really began to build. And so I loved it. I went down. I wound up going to Florida on a whim, got a call. Johnny Lightning put in some contacts. And I jobbed out for a couple of weeks, and it was great. The reason I had to stop was I have a lot of nerve damage from a fall I had in college, and my body just couldn't do what I wanted it to do.
What was the fall in college?
There's a place called the Leacore Center, and when they built the Leacore Center, they had everything, including the nosebleeds on metal rafters. Well, some dumbass forgot to screw some in. So 2 stories I fell.
Did you get a check out of that?
Bro, they don't say snap your necks and cash your necks because it's cute.
Okay, because I was like, whoa.
I'll put it to you this way. My wife had about $60,000 in student loans. I only had about 15 after that was done. And I have quite a few degrees. So I made some money.
Okay.
But the good thing was, and the thing that people don't understand, and this is about resilience, and that's one of the things that I really got solidified when I was wrestling. But back in college, they told me, "Oh, well, you're never going to walk without the use of a cane." Do you see cane? No. They said that, I'm not going to be able to deal with the pain. I'm not on any real opiates or anything like that. I beat that at 21, and I worked hard for 6 months in rehab. So I was running a full 21 credit course load and going to rehab in the morning and doing radio and doing all of those things. And I beat it because I wasn't going to beat it like, I'm a good looking guy. There are girls on campus, and I ain't going to be walking around like Mike from Boys to Men because I don't have that deep. Hey, baby, I just want to. So I couldn't walk. Shout to Mike from Boys to Men. You missed out on the check, bro, but that's okay. I couldn't walk around with a cane and be cool. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want that. It was complete ego and the fact that I didn't want to be some invalid, somebody you felt sorry for. So I literally just rehabbed my body. I was still a chubby bastard, but I was fit. Mm-hmm. And I was able to come back from that, man. And to go into a ring and, be in a car wreck every single night, as much as I loved it, I couldn't do it. And radio was my first love, so I made a decision. I don't regret it.
How, was it hard?
Yes.
To be able to do that?
Yes, of course. When you look at it and you say, look, maybe I could have been, am I as charismatic as The Rock? If you ask me, yeah. Do I think I can do what he did? I don't know. I'll never know. Okay. But I'm happy with the decision that I made. My wife says everything happens in divine order, and I'm a big believer in that.
Everything happens in the what?
Divine order. I believe that the stars are aligned. I came here for one thing, wound up doing something else. That other thing led into something that I wasn't prepared for. So I woke up with one mission, wound up with a different one. I came up to New York to do this show with you. I wound up doing 2 other shows that I wasn't prepared for and got an offer for something that I wasn't prepared for. But sometimes it's not you, it's not your plans, it's divine order and you just being willing to say yes to one thing. And that one yes leads to a different thing. You know what I mean? So that's divine order.
The lifestyle of a wrestler, which is you're taking constant bumps, you're putting your body on the line. How did that help you with the next chapter in your life? Because you spoke about resilience.
Yeah.
So tell me about how did that transition help? Where it's like, oh, I can do this. Want me to do this? Want me to do that? I took a bunch of bumps for 6 weeks.
Yeah, I was wrestling. Don't get it twisted. I took bumps for 6 weeks. I was wrestling for 2.5 years before I went down the floor. Okay. So it's not like I didn't have runs or this, that, and the third, but it prepared me because it showed me the value of hard work. And not that I didn't know it, but wrestling in and of itself is about hard work. It's about depending on other people. And here's the thing that people don't understand. They say, well, what happens if you're wrestling somebody you don't like? Well, that person's life is in your hands. And so you want to do everything you can to help protect that person. And there's a level of respect. There's a brotherhood that comes with that. There's a brother and sisterhood that comes with that. And I don't think that there's anything in this world that is more challenging than convincing a bunch of people to either cheer for you or boo you. You know what I mean? It's hard to make people feel something that visceral either way. And if you're able to do that, if you're able to convey emotions, then you can do anything.
Speak on that a little bit more.
Okay. When you look at someone like The Rock, right? The Rock is half black, half Samoan, and when The Rock got there, he was a little pudgy. He had surgery to fix his breasticles. You know what I'm saying? So you're talking about somebody who came in with all this stuff, and then Jim Ross didn't make it any better. He's a blue chipper. He's this. He's that. There's all these expectations you have to live up to, and what they were giving him was crap. And then he went and he said, okay, I want to be a bad guy, die Rocky, die, I want to go for it. You look at somebody like Steve Austin, who, we had the Hollywood Lions, that was horrible. He had a little run in ECW, that was horrible. Then he comes to WWE and he gets the $1 million title and becomes the ringmaster, and he has to make that work. There's something to be said for getting in there and taking chicken shit and making chicken salad. Most people don't know how to do that. And when you talk about business, most people look at a situation and say, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming, I don't know what to do. We ain't got time for that. It's now or never. It's on or off. There is no in between. There are no redos. There are no do-overs. If you fuck up in the ring, it shows up. If you fuck up on the mic, it shows up. If you don't have confidence, it shows up. And so when you don't have a tightrope to walk with a net under it, when you just got to walk that tightrope, there's no net, there's no do-overs, it's do or die, everything else becomes child's play. I can raise 2 girls. I took bumps. I've been in the headlock from Lesnar, and trust me, that's not an easy thing because he gets real. He's tight. He's what you call tight. He tightens up. You know what I'm saying? Funny guy. But, when you do these things consistently, you understand how important it is and how minimal the things that we spend so much time agonizing are.
You just said a bunch of shit, which was mad jewels just dropped. We're going to dissect these things real quick. because you just dropped a bunch of jewels, and you talked about, first things first, you talked about fucking up.
Yeah.
Messing up, and people will see it.
Yeah.
How does that resilience help when you do mess up in the ring? Because it's going to happen. It's reality.
Right.
Mess up on the mic. How do you deal with that?
Here's the thing. I remember seeing people, even when I was in NCWA, and they were so worried about being perfect in front of the audience. I'm like, it's the fucking armory, dude. Like, calm down. These people are going to like what you do. You know, you fucked up. Okay, cool. How do you recover? It's not the fuck up, it's how you recover. What have you learned? Now, if you're doing the same fuck up over and over and over again, not only are you insane, you're stupid. Because you didn't take anything from the fuck ups. Every time I got a yes, cool. But what did I learn from that? I already know I'm talented. I already know I'm good. I already know I'm gifted. It's when I fucked up. It's when my back's against the wall. It's when I don't have anything, when I feel like the entire world is like, well, fuck Dave Anderson. I felt like my middle name was Dave and my first name was fuck at times. You know what I mean? Like, hey, hi, I'm the world. Fuck Dave Anderson. You know, like, at that point, you just got to say, this is what it is. What am I going to do about it? Everybody's got problems. Everybody has moments where they're not perfect. The pursuit of perfection is the quickest way not to achieve it. I'm telling you right now, I failed my way to success. I'll give you an example. In 5th grade, because I went to an inner city school that was under budgeted and had a bunch of racist white teachers, I had people putting me in special ed and I didn't belong there. I was reading at a college level at the age of 4. And they were telling me that I didn't know this, I didn't know that, and they weren't challenging me. So I just decided I wasn't going to do homework. From that, my mother put me on punishment after tying fire to my ass, meaning she beat my ass. In love. Anyway, anyhow, my brother took pity on me and he bought me a radio and a phone, so I was listening to the radio, and Curly Neal from the Harlem Globetrotters was on the radio, and I snuck and called in on the show, and I got on the show, and Curly Neal told the producers, yo, you need to hire that kid. I don't know who he is, I don't know where he's from, but I need you to hire that kid. That kid's going to be something. My mother got a call. Yes, I'm David Anderson's mother. No, must be a different David Anderson. It's a common name. It's a common mistake. He did what? He said, what? Okay. No, he'll be there tomorrow. So after the swelling of my ass went down, I had a contract at 9. You see what I'm saying? But I had to fail first. I had to go on strike. I had to take a stand and say, I'm not going to do this homework. I was still grounded, but I wound up doing that. And once I did that, then I got on TV. You see what I'm saying? Like, one thing leads to another, but it started with the failure. It started with the frustration. It started with me making a decision, drawing a line in the sand. Most people don't want to do that because they want to please so many other people. You know, I'm trying to figure out one thing and one thing only. What's in it for me? And as I've expanded my life, meaning I have children, I have a wife, what's in it for me and mine? Now that I have a team, now that I have staff, what's in it for me, mine, and my people? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But at the end of the day, you have to be a bit self-centered because you have to be self-aware first so that you know what you'll tolerate and you'll know what it is that you're looking to get out of any situation. And so that is the foundation. Those are the building blocks of resilience that no one wants to talk about because they're not politically correct or proper.
So you talked about brotherhood. You talked about being a little selfish here and there. How did you bring that all into the locker room with a bunch of egos? Because you were a jobber, like you said, you were honest about it.
Absolutely.
You were a jobber. Now, how do you understand, like, hey, this is what they have me doing. I'm going to make this guy look good because this is part of the business. Right. But also putting maybe your little bit of an ego to the side and dealing with another whose ego. You might come to somebody like, all right, Dave, what I'm going to do, I'm going to spear you, then I'm going to double power bomb you, then I'm going to pile drive you again, and then I'm gonna put my foot on your chest, and that's gonna my 1, 2, 3 count. What you think about that?
Have you seen my tapes with the one?
And understanding, okay, this is what I gotta do, and having that brotherhood of understanding this is a brotherhood because we all know wrestling is a massive fraternity and sorority. Yeah. Understanding all of that.
Yeah. The thing of it is, I'm okay with what the job is. The thing of it is, like my mom used to tell me all the time, she'd say, David, be the task, great or small, do it right or not alone. So if I'm going to be a jobber, I'm going to be the best possible jobber that has ever jobbed in the world. I ain't going to job so damn good, they're going to think, you ever see Michaels versus Hogan?
Yes.
He overjobbed.
Oh yeah, he did that on purpose.
Yeah, he did that on purpose. But he did make Hogan look spectacular, even though it's ridiculous for those of us to think.
Ridiculous? That's not even a word, bro. It was the most. Oh my god! And I was young at the time. So I was like, "Yo, Hogan is powerful."
Right? I was like, "Yo,"
What's going on?" And then you get older, and then you're like, "Yo, what?" He was flailing all over. Oh! It's like a fish, like, you know, when a fish gets out of water?
Yes.
That's how it happened. Like, you just,
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't overjob, but I made sure I sold it enough that whoever I was wrestling with, whoever I was jobbing to, looked great, because that is what it is. Your enhancement talent. And there's nothing wrong with enhancement talent. Enhancement talent is like the guy at the zoo who picks up the elephant shit.
Yeah.
What you don't know about the guy at the zoo who picks up elephant shit is that he has to have a certification to do so. 9 times out of 10, he's either a veterinary tech or a veterinarian.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, most people don't. The other part of it is he makes well into the 6 figures for picking up elephant shit.
Well, it is elephant shit.
It is elephant. That's a lot of shit. Jobbers take a lot of shit. It is literally the wrestling equivalent of taking elephant shit. But what people don't understand is that elephant shit makes fertilizer, and that fertilizer then gets packaged and resold. So I'm going to do what the job requires me to do. I don't need to be the guy that they cheer for. I don't need that microphone. All I need to do is go in there and make it look like I'm not just going to come in there and lay down. I'm going to be my version of what I saw the Brooklyn Brawler be for my childhood.
Okay.
You know, that was who I had in my head. I had the Brooklyn Brawler in my head.
That makes perfect freaking sense. Now, I want to move a little into the locker room a little bit.
Sure.
When you were in there with, I'm talking about future Hall of Famers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did they showcase that it factor while they were there, or was it the little bit of time you were there? Was it like the development was happening?
Okay. I saw John Cena. I didn't see it for him.
Really?
Didn't see it for him. He looked great. You got to remember, this is not John Cena. This is none of that happened. He had his hair was blonde. It was like all this was cut and then this was swooped back.
Yeah.
It was weird. He was wearing like red tight. I didn't see it. Like, he was decent on the mic, but the guy to watch, and I remember having this conversation with Animal, and he was like, "Yo, that damn Orton. Like, I mean, it's in his blood, but damn, did you see him? That kid's got a fucking wingspan. That kid's gonna go." I always thought that Randy Orton was that guy, and even though when you look at Orton now, you see that he has become an elder statesman. And he does not work as much. He's got a family. But if you look at the way that he tackles the role, he and Cena are 2 sides of the same coin. But Orton had it from day one. Maybe it's because Cowboy Bob's his father. Maybe because his grandfather was in the business. I don't know. I mean, Cowboy Bob watched Piper. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we made Piper look even more evil. You see what I'm saying? So Orton understood whether he was a monster heel or a babyface, but he was phenomenal as a heel. And he carried that very well. With that comes a bit of entitlement. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. He knew that he had it. And he knew when someone wasn't giving their all, and then he would tighten up on those individuals, from my personal recollection.
Orton is is in the top 15, top 10 for me.
Yeah.
In general. I think Orton's one of the super talented people. He got in trouble way too much, which kind of held him back to getting. He's at an 8.59.
Yeah.
He could have been at a 10 career-wise.
He could have been a 12.
Yeah. Where, like, on that Cena level, but obviously he got in trouble so many times that it affected him.
Right.
You're 100% right. First time I saw Orton when he came out, when he debuted, I was like, who the hell is this guy?
Amazing.
Great look, phenomenal on the mic, and just that era of arrogance that you speak about, of entitlement, it helps him.
Mm-hmm. This is driving
because
force.
it goes back to what you said earlier, which is confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I may have messed up, but I don't know the fuck. I still know what I'm doing.
Right.
It's in my blood. I know what I'm doing. I'm built for this, and he has the whole concept of what you said, resilience and confidence that you unmatched.
Yeah.
So now you get out of there, you leave. You leave because you have to leave the business.
Right.
And you go into radio, you said, correct?
I was already in radio, so I was just,
Okay, so you're doing that part-time?
Yeah, I was doing it part-time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you got the resilience, you got the mindset right.
Right.
Because you're taking bumps, you're getting hit, you're getting left and right. See, so you're like, I got this.
Bro, look at my forehead. You can see it. I mean, I'm not as bad as Devon, but you can tell I've taken quite a few licks.
And you grew a business out of it. You end up growing
Yeah.
to what you are today.
Absolutely.
Now, kind of walk me through that, how that growth happened. As you leave, you go into this new field 100%.
Right.
You're kind of already in there, but you're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out,
Right.
depending on what you do, and you put the 100% in.
Right.
Now, walk me through that. Like, getting to kind of where you're at right now.
Okay, so at that point, I'm at home, and I had accrued so much vacation because I never took days off. I worked at the beach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm in Camp Lejeune, which is Jacksonville, North Carolina, right after 9/11 and getting ready to start the Iraq War. And I had rented a bunch of movies from Blockbusters, and one of them was Man on the Moon. And I watched Man on the Moon. I knew who Andy Kaufman was because my speech and comedy coach was a guy named Bruce Pustin. Bruce Pustin is famous for producing movies like Bad Boys and Jerry Maguire. You see him in the credits, God rest his soul. And he said, the one thing that I love about you is that your ability to be in the moment. He said, but there's something that's missing, and when you find it, you'll know what it is. He said, I think one of these days you'll catch it. And he would show me tapes of Andy Kaufman. So I'm in Blockbuster, I rent Man on the Moon, and I'm watching it. And the whole Lawler Kaufman thing really got to me. And I watched every last radio personality I saw, and all of them were baby faces. And I said, shit, I can't wrestle anymore, but I'm going to be a fucking monster heel. I am going to be a monster heel in radio. Every time I crack that mic, it's going to be promo time. Every time somebody says something stupid, I'm going to hang up on them. I'm going to point out people's inaccuracies. I'm going to exploit their weaknesses. And I am going to make them rue the day they decided to do something stupid in my presence. And that's what I did. And I left North Carolina because 2 weeks later, I got a call to come to Nashville, Tennessee. So I went to Nashville, Tennessee. Now, I don't know how much you know about Nashville, but it's Country Music City, USA. Aside from that, it has a huge black population. It has a huge history in the blues. It has a huge history in gospel and R&B. And so I'm there, and the station I'm at is in 15th place. They have a shit signal, and I'm like, excellent. So there's this big monster company across the street. They've got, two guys up against me at night, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm walking around, I'm finding out things about people, and I destroyed that night show by finding out who they were dating. I talked to the girls that they were dating, who they were disgruntled with, and I went and dropped a mixtape and started talking about all their personal stuff. One of them pops Riddler because he had ADHD. The other one couldn't keep his lyrics straight, couldn't keep his time right. And I literally demolished them on a really shitty signal. Am I proud of that? Absolutely. You want to know why? Because every single quarter, we would meet up and talk about what promos we were going to cut on each other. We would talk about, hey, my offer is coming up on mine. How much do you guys get? Well, we're getting this, so I'm going to go ask for that. So we were literally, Kaufman and Lawler. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so everything that I learned in wrestling that helped me as a jobber, watching people like Orton become heels and look at tapes of Kaufman and watching that whole Monster Hill situation, I said, I am going to be the best bad guy I can possibly be. Moral of the story was I became #1 in Nashville while the wrestling station was in 14th place. So when that station flipped, I got an offer to go to CBS to run the entire cluster.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So, Monster Hill. Everybody loves the bad guy. No one likes to admit it.
Why do you think that?
Well, because Superman is born without Lex Luthor, but no one wants to cop to the fact that Lex Luthor is them.
Okay. Two things.
Mm-hmm.
You have a Marvel t-shirt on.
I do.
And you're a wrestling fan.
I am.
Favorite wrestler, favorite superhero?
Wow. Which era?
You know what? Let's do three.
Okay.
Let's do three of each.
Okay.
And it's whatever era you want to do.
All right. Favorite wrestler from what I consider the golden age 70s. It's Flair. I love Flair.
Okay. Tweener, I feel like Flair more of a tweener than a heel.
Yeah, it depends on what you consider. Because he became Gordon Gekko. When the 70s shifted into the 80s, because beforehand he was more, hey woman, I'm gonna give it to you right now. Yeah, your wife right now. Oldest ride, longest line, come ride Space Mountain. And then it became about the decadence and the private jets and the strutting and the fact that he took that woo from Little Richard and made it something bigger than what it was supposed to be. Right? So
cheap. Quick fact, guys. Quick fact.
Yeah.
You gotta know that.
Yeah, because he'll say Jerry Lee Lewis because he doesn't want to piss off the white people, but go listen to the Stone Cold podcast. I'll tell you, should have been down there. It was Little Richard all day. So Flair did something to me because he was talking about all the things that as a kid in the hood, I wish I could have. So that resonated with me. I liked Piper because Piper was a purist. Piper didn't like the idea of Mr. T. Mr. T is my favorite, like, person on the planet.
I 100% agree with him at that time.
At that time.
Because now, like, you're crazy.
Right.
At that time,
He
where
was 100% right. He saw the writing on the wall before anybody else did.
Because you're pulling the curtain back.
Yeah.
And you're showing these regular mother effers the truth about us.
Right.
No. I see Benson's point.
Right.
You're trying to sell these tickets.
Right, and he's the biggest star on television. Not the biggest black star. He's biggest star on television.
So it makes sense, but Piper was about to kill him in the ring, as we know.
He tightened the hell up when he was like.
Okay,
that's an understatement.
What? He was going to kill Mr. T.
He was trying to kill Mr. T.
I remember watching it because it was at MSG.
Yeah.
And MSG did a whole special on that particular.
I remember that was on NBC.
And I remember watching it because I knew of all this stuff, but when I started to really get into wrestling, the history behind it, you start watching, start reading a bunch of books. I saw that and I was like, he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Piper's an asshole. But then what you said, what I just said, now that I know that I'm understanding business, the culture behind wrestling, you're like, he was right, you know.
But here's the thing.
That's two, by the way. You got one more.
I got one more, but let me stay on Piper for just a second.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing. You will always wind up becoming the thing that you think that you hate. Allow me to point out a little thing called They Live. Phenomenal movie. Best movie ever made by a wrestler, bar Dwayne Johnson. What Piper did in that movie was phenomenal. Number one, he's an asshole by nature, but he literally toned that down. And he gave people one of the greatest cultural lines that they don't even realize they quote. Listen, I'm here to do two things. Kick ass and chew bubblegum. Bruh, like, fucking Piper. Now, the other part of that is, when you look at somebody like a Cena who had so much to say about what Dwayne was doing, and now, he's Hollywood Cena. Like, I mean, you can't get around it. So my third is CM Punk. Now, I know.
We're gonna have to debate this.
I know, but here's the thing, right? Pioneers get scalped. Settlers prosper. Without a CM Punk, I contend that there is not the spark in Cody Rhodes to go do AEW. Okay. Without CM Punk, you would not have these part-time deals that Ronda Rousey now benefits from, that Lesnar now benefits from, that the Four Horsemen of UFC are benefiting from. You wouldn't have those things without.
What did he do exactly?
The pipe bomb promo for one. Actually breaking the fourth wall. And without CM Punk, you wouldn't have people pulling back a curtain on an industry where there's so many dirt sheets and so many people in the internet wrestling community who think they've got it all figured out. And Punk is like, you take a monster like Brodus Clay and you make him shuck and jive for dollars, Vince. You want to know why he did that? Because he knew if a black man said that on national television, he'd have been a pariah. But because he's a white man and he uses privilege effectively, he helped that black man realize that, you know what, maybe I need to get the hell up out of here. He's absolutely right. I'm feeling this, but I could never say that. You got to give that man props for that.
I give Punk props. My only thing that I have a problem with Punk is that he shitted on the business too hard in his interview. And I understand you're mad. You're mad about it, and you're entitled to your opinion, but don't completely shit on something that you loved and that made you a ton of money and got you comfortable in life to help out other people. That's my only thing. You can be bitter as fuck, but don't shit on something that has made so much for you. Because this is the John Moxley interview.
Yeah.
You see how he approached it? Listen, I'm happy. They gave me this, and this. Now I'm gonna shit on them. I love that way of doing it. You're grateful. It's like a relationship. You were dating so and so for how many times?
Right.
There was something good about it.
Absolutely.
So say the good and also the bad, which is nothing wrong. I just felt Punk said all bad.
Here's what you have to understand. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Are you married?
No.
Okay. When I was 17 years old, two things happened. The first thing was, as smart as I am, and I got a 210 IQ, I got a 725 and a 710 respectively on my SATs, which means because I went to the shittiest high school in America, Martin Luther King High School in Philadelphia, up until about 5 years ago. It was the shittiest high school in America, literally, statistically.
Big facts.
I had to go through a remedial program that was beneath my intelligence level, but because I was not taught the skills on how to take that kind of standardized test, I wound up going to the situation, failure. So I'm walking out of a class, and a buddy of mine who I just met maybe a couple of days earlier says, hey, you gotta meet these twins. I'm like, twins, big fucking whoop. The long and the short of it is, I meet the first one and said, oh, you're cool. I see the second twin, and I'm like, oh, you're hot. And I say to her, hey, my name's Dave Anderson, and I'm gonna marry you. She says, you're crazy. I said, yeah, but what's that got to do with what I tell you? Her mother. The end. The point of that is this. I love my fucking wife. You do not disrespect my wife. I might not be able to beat you, but I guarantee you I will maim you if you think about disrespecting my wife. You understand what I'm saying to you? This man got fired on his wedding day after having injuries that were ignored, after being completely disrespected, after not being able to come to the table because there was nobody there to mediate the situation, after being ganged up on by Triple H, everybody who was doing Vince's bidding, and like, yeah, he's got a lot of reasons to be better.
I get it.
I understand the business is the business, but the problem is everybody thinks that Vince McMahon is the business.
He isn't the business. I know that. Me and you both know. My only issue is the way he came off with shitting on wrestling, not WWE. That's the feeling I got from it. Maybe that feeling was wrong and accurate, but listening to it, and I understand where you're coming from, because you're 100% right. You get fired on your fucking day of your wedding. Right. Even bitch outside come like, yo,
because he knew it was over.
I fucked up on that one. But you're right. My whole thing is the bigger part of it is the fraternity that got you where you were, that you did so much for, and I did so much for you. Like, you're able to get your friend out of debt because you made so much money in the business.
Yeah, he bought his house cash.
Exactly.
Amen.
And you can hate WWE, but don't hate wrestling.
Right.
That's the way he comes off to me sometimes, like he's so bitter about wrestling. And maybe, and me looking at it from a broader spectrum of view, what you're telling me, maybe WWE led him to hate that. Maybe it's that, you know how, pardon my language, ladies, you know how a guy has a bad relationship, like, yo, fuck bitches. Yeah. I think that's what CM Punk right now. Yeah. Where bro, all women are the same.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But sometimes when you're in that place of pain, think about it. You're constantly... You ever watch Charlie Brown?
Yes.
CM Punk is fucking Charlie Brown. Here's what I mean.
Somebody
Vince McMahon is Lucy, right? Hey, Charlie Brown, just kick the football. If you do, I'll owe you one. Hey, Willie, go down the block and I'll throw it to you. That's what Vince kept doing to him over and over again. Taker, Lesnar, Cena, Rock, and every day Punk showed up, day in, day out, straight edge, no problems, never failed a drug test, over and over and over again. While people would come and go, excuses would be made, people would go off and shoot movies, Punk was there, and Punk put that company on his back. Jericho could come and walk in and walk out. Punk was making suggestions and no one wanted to hear them. Now, Vince is a lot more amiable. You understand? You can't, a lot of times, because you're the catalyst, you never get credit for the explosion.
Okay. So what did all of that lead to? Because you said that you kind of, my whole thing, IWC makes him seem like the greatest thing ever. The instant wrestling community makes him like the greatest thing ever. True. I think he's decent in the ring, phenomenal on the mic. Yeah. One of the most charismatic motherfuckers. Top 5 dead or alive. He ate The Rock alive during their feud.
Oh God, yes.
But you keep talking about this whole, like, the Messiah, like the Jesus in the game. I want you to break down what after all of this was done, what came up. You said Cody. You said but Cody doing that. But how is it connected so much to Punk though?
Okay, here's the thing, right? It goes like this. When Bruce Wayne made the decision to don the cape and cowl, all of a sudden you have villains with talking, wind-up, exploding penguins. You have killer clowns on the loose. You've got cat women. You've got killer crocs running around. Yeah. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Okay. Punk's disdain for the business forced the business to change.
Okay, I can see that.
Right. And you have to understand, he endured years of abuse with no payoff. Cash is fine, but what is that when you got health and they're saying, are you concussed? Are you really concussed? You sure you can't make this tour? Can you give me one more? Can you do this one more time? How many times did you like to get fucked in your ass before you say enough is enough? I fucking hate you for raping me.
You got a point when you put the fuck in the ass part. He was a superstar though.
He was a superstar, but what's the good of it? Let me give you an example. I said, fuck radio. Fuck radio with a sick dick. Radio made me, look, radio bought her cameras. Radio fed her. Radio moved my wife from where she was to where we are. Radio paid for my house to be finished. Radio did a lot of amazing things for me, but fuck radio, because radio abandoned me. Radio decided that it wanted to take my ideas, my blood, my sweat, my tears, and tell me, because I was a straight black man, that I was difficult, hard to work with. I'm sorry, I don't know if you understand this or not, but I'm in business. I'm a business guy. I'm a fucking gunslinger. You know what that means? That means that I'm able to go in and do the job. There's no emotion about being a fucking gunslinger. I made companies millions. Got the iHeartRadio app? Bitch, you're welcome. Like Wendy Williams? Bitch, you're welcome. Like the Breakfast Club? Bitch, you're welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome. But no, the thing of it is,
no,
right?
I know what you're saying.
The thing of it is, I gave so much, but what did it give me other than telling me I was a problem? I was never late. My ratings never slipped. The only problem I had was I was a black man and I had an idea. And sometimes when you have ideas and you want to innovate, they have a problem with that because it doesn't go along with their idea of what it is. And the fact that, I don't know, Triple H would cut promos and say, I'm going to kick your skinny fat ass, it's because Triple H was all swole and he does not have the amount of business knowledge that Pump had in his little pinky that he could come up with off the top of his head that it would take Hunter, an entire McMahon family to be able to execute on. Also,
you're not giving Hunter props for NXT?
I give Hunter props for NXT, but are you going to give Punk props for the Shield? Because that was his.
That is true. That is true. He did say that.
Best monster faction on the planet. No one has argued that he's telling a lie. Vince would have ran all over that. I created a show if he did. Mm-hmm. So you know it's the truth.
And I understand that. You have raised phenomenal points. I want to go into something that you said about being African American in radio.
Yes.
There's been an explosion of African American wrestlers in the indie scene.
Absolutely.
I believe now that we have more knowledge about certain things, that schools are popping up more, and you're going to see more amount of African American wrestlers.
Absolutely.
I believe NXT in about 3 years from now is going to be the NBA. With the demographics like the NBA.
Shout out to Shane Strickland.
Swerve.
I used to manage him.
Oh, really?
Handshake deal, but yeah.
We have to talk about. I'm gonna get this. You keep saying stuff, and I got.
Like, wow.
I got. There's stuff I want to say, but okay, you go into a business at the time, and tell me if I'm wrong. It's predominantly white.
I was raised in buttermilk.
How was that?
You know what? It really didn't come up a lot. Like I hear people tell horrible stories about this, that, and the third. Like I didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? Like I met Hogan. Hogan was nice to me. I met Flair. Flair was nice to me. I didn't have any types of those kinds of issues.
Do you think
not blatant?
Do you think it's the fraternity thing that we talked about earlier?
I think that the people who have the pain that they have is true. I think it's a fraternity thing when you're talking about we're all wrestlers and we're trying to put on a great product that people can enjoy. I think that overshadows a lot of things. But yeah, everybody that has a story about somebody being a racist, I can 100% believe. But it's not my experience, and I won't act like it is.
Mm-hmm. So, and I like the fact that you were honest. Yeah. And you didn't experience that. There's rumors about it. Right. But you didn't experience that.
Me personally, I haven't. But I believe JTG.
Oh, yeah.
All day, every day. I believe that Cena has a golden shovel and he's buried black people all the time. I wholeheartedly believe that.
That's interesting.
Because it makes sense. How was Prime Time that white hot? And everybody wanted those glasses. He was giving out glasses like Bret the Hitman Hart, and they never sold them? Never sold them? When have you known Vince to turn down an opportunity to make money? Unless his golden boy said, nah, put the kibosh on him.
You know what it is? And this is something that happens in all forms of entertainment. They don't want to lose their spot.
Yeah, I don't mind you doing good as long as you're doing gooder than me.
And I don't ever think it's, tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think it's a race thing. No. I think it's more of a popularity thing. Because I've heard stories about some top rapper, I'm going to say his name because I love him too much, where he made sure so-and-so didn't get on this mixtape or this song because, he rapping too good. Or other musicians doing the same exact thing where you see that. So, how is that competition? We moved away from the race part. How is the competition in the locker room where you're a bunch of hungry, ego dudes? How is that competition in the locker room?
I can't really speak to it because I was enhancement talent.
Okay.
But you can see what's going on. You know how they say you can cut the tension with a knife.
Yes.
Those who wanted it, wanted it. Those who didn't, they got weeded out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it is. It is social Darwinism at its finest in a petri dish. That's the only way I can describe it to you. You either have a love for the business, you want to grow in the business, you either have it or you don't, or you can start to develop it if you are hungry enough. The hunger is the it you have to have. If you got that, the rest can definitely take care of itself if you can physically do it and you are open to instruction.
Keep dropping jewels, and I'm going to have to cut into it.
Sorry.
The next jewel I want to talk about, something I've been wanting to talk to you about for a while, especially the fact that you're such a business person and you, from the wrestling background.
Right.
You spoke about you managed at Mr. Swerve,
Yes.
Shane Strickland,
Yes.
handshake deal. I've always said, and I've been saying this a lot lately, I believe wrestlers need, basically, like, they need people to, like, agents.
Mm-hmm.
To handle deals, representation somewhere or another. I think a lot of wrestlers are underpaid.
Yes.
Especially when you have brands where you got 250K followers on Instagram, you got another 100K on this, 100K on that, and you're getting paid $80.
Yeah.
I want to speak on that a little bit.
Here's the thing.
Or your opinion on it.
Okay, I have two things. The first thing is, I believe in all things. I don't care if you're a wrestler. I don't care if you're a salesperson. I don't care if you are driving an Uber. I believe you need to control your narrative at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you need to control your brand at all times. And I believe if there's equity in your brand, you need to have all of it, if not the majority of it. The problem sometimes comes in where you don't know what you don't know. And then a lot of times there are people who are trying to help you, and for whatever reason, and like even with Swerve, I think Shane, I'm happy he's at the Performance Center. I think he's a phenomenal individual. The reason I met him was his mother. Interesting thing about me, I'm a businessman. And so I don't believe in taking a job unless I can do it to learn something. I'd rather you pay me to learn how to do it so I can go ahead and do it better. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to study software as a service, which is digital cloud-based products and marketing. So I went and got a job doing that. And I ran into his mother. Did not know that was his mother. We just began to hit it off talking, just about TV, wrestling. She was from my hometown. And there's this kind of chip you can only get in the Susquehanna Valley. So we start talking about it. And she was like, "Yeah, I want you to meet my son. I think you'll like him." I said, "Well, is he wrestling?" She said, "Yeah, he's a little younger." I said, "What's his name?" She said, "Kilsh." I said, "Kilsh, that's your son." I said, "Shane is your son?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Bullshit." She said, "Next day." So we went over to Four Seasons, and we had lunch, and we talked, and I said, "Listen, I think you should do this. I think you should do that. I think you should do this. I would love to help you with this, that, and the third." And he was with it, but I think that there were a lot of things going on at that particular time, and I don't think he was sure on which way to go. And so because of that, it wasn't like, you ever break up with somebody that you never officially broke up with?
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Okay.
Wonderful guy. I just think that I would love for him to get the push that Ricochet is getting right now. And I think it's going to happen sooner or later because that's a WrestleMania main event waiting to happen. Swerve and Ricochet.
And that's what I've been saying for a lot lately because I have a lot of friends who are in the business.
Right.
I love the business. I don't want to take a jump on the business.
But state the truth. See,
but
telling the truth is not taking the shit.
But there's certain people who I know personally who, let's say for instance, they're going to be in an event today, right?
Right.
They post it. I bet you they got 20 people coming.
Yep.
But they're not going to get paid for about 20 because the business has a certain type of rule that it goes by.
Right.
And how would somebody get around that? Let's say, for instance, you got Johnny B. Mm-hmm. Johnny B's built the brand up, 100K followers now on Instagram. Let's be more 50K followers on Instagram. You got a legit engaged Twitter following and on all the social media. He's getting people in. Why would you tell him? Why would you tell Johnny B of how to move forward with this and how to better elevate your brand and get the money that you not 100% of that money you deserve, but a little bit more than what you deserve instead of a hot dog and a handshake?
Okay. A few things. The first thing I would tell Johnny B is make sure you have a fucking list. Two, actually.
What's a list?
I'm about to break it down.
Woof.
The first thing you need to have is an email list. Here's why this is important. Are you familiar with the gossip blog called The Shade Room?
Yes.
Okay, The Shade Room had 4 million people on Facebook. And one day Zucks came along like Thanos and just deleted them. All 4 million of them. Gone. Not one email address that they have.
Wow.
because they put their stock on Facebook. I've had radio personalities, celebrities, basketball players, wrestlers, and I've got this on Instagram. Well, what if such decides that you? Then what are you going to do? If you can control your list, you can control your narrative, you can communicate directly. You know, it becomes your digital diamond cutter, how Dallas Page was able to talk to the audience. So that's one. Two, when you look at the amount of opens you get, what's called an open rate on an email list, you have, you know, if you're doing good, you got about 20% opening. When it comes to text messages, that number goes up to 98%. So everybody you know, like when my kid turned 10, she had a smartphone. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody's got one. You know, I'm pretty sure when my kid turns 6, she'll have one too. You know, that's just where we are. And who doesn't want to know who's texting them? Who just ignores text unless they're already monumentally rich, monumentally famous, and monumentally busy? So you have a captive audience. So wherever you go, the audience goes. And you make sure that they are loyal to you. And you over-deliver to them with free meet and greets, free t-shirts, anything that you have to do in order to make that situation happen. You know, you got pro wrestling teams, you got all these things that you can use now that would allow you to really solidify your brand. You don't need the promoter as much as the promoter needs you if you are savvy enough to do so. And that's the thing. So when you become your own promoter, when you become the business, the CFO and the COO of your business, then what tends to happen is you get treated like the CEO of your business as opposed to the proverbial hot dog and handshake.
And that's something I've been talking about so much as I get bigger, because I train.
Right.
I'm training at Hog, and I love Hog. Shout out to Hog. Amazing Red is amazing.
Amazing Red is phenomenal.
He's one of the greatest minds I've ever seen, and the way he talks about the business is amazing. But you start meeting a lot of indie wrestlers, and one of my friends, female, chopping it up with her. She's like, I'm going to my hometown. They're paying me X amount of dollars. I said, excuse me, they're paying you how much? Off your Patreon alone, you make about $500. And they're paying you a quarter of that in a thing. For what? But then I asked her, this is how the business is. And I was like, no. And I'm getting mad.
Yeah, that's what you should.
I'm getting mad because this girl's like my sister at this point. We built a relationship, but she's low-key popping.
Right.
Like, you know that low-key, like, she's bubbling? Like, once she gets to, if
just release the service.
Yeah.
Just if you give her one little piece of daylight.
Yeah. She's there because she's a woman of color.
Right.
Curvy. Men of all races love her. And I was like, yo, you're getting what? But I have to, I don't understand the business enough because you're kind of the outsider.
Right.
When you walk into a situation.
Right.
So I spoke to her about, like, maybe you should change some stuff up because if that's your hometown you're going to, you're bringing about 50 people, am I correct?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah. How much are tickets? 20 to 30?
Come on.
So this maybe. But how do people take that control? How do people get to that point where it's like, okay, this is what I gotta do? Like, what do you recommend somebody to do that to get to that point where it's like, I have to control this business now?
Okay. Can I tell you a story?
Let's talk away.
And you know how they say there's Elvis people and there's Beatles people?
Yeah.
For me, there's two types of people. There are thermometers and there are thermostats. Now, a thermometer can tell you how hot or how cold something is. So can a thermostat. The difference between the thermometer and the thermostat is this. The thermometer just tells you the temperature. The thermostat controls the temperature. Most of us are afraid to be thermostats because we've been convinced our whole lives that all we are and all we can ever be are thermometers. It's not the truth. So at the end of the day, the problem is because that's just how the business is what they do to keep you small. It's like when someone says, sit down, be humble. I like Kendrick as much as the next guy, but he's completely wrong. Humility is for the weak.
Humility is for the weak.
Humility is for the weak.
Why do you say that?
Because humility is a false concept. I will prove it to you. Who is the most humble figure in history? If it just in your mind, in all of history, from the beginning of time to right now, when you think of humility and perfection, who do you think of?
Nobody.
Jesus.
I don't think he was that humble either.
He wasn't. First miracle, water to wine at a wedding, Son of God. Why did he do it? Because his mother told him to. But not only that, he didn't want to disappoint his mother, so he made sure that wine was top shelf. Then
he walked on water.
He walked on water.
That's showing off.
Is it though? But here's the thing. Sometimes you need a spectacle in order to understand how great something is or how close you are to greatness. Here's what I mean. See, when he stood on the water and he told Peter to come to him, he said, come to me. And he said, just look at me. Don't worry about the water. Look at me. And he looked at him. The second he took his eyes off of Jesus, he began to sing. You understand what I'm saying to you? So when you look at someone who is lauded as a perfect individual, he understood the empowering process of the show. Here's the other part of that. Jesus was only in the church 3 times. The first to announce, the first when he was told to go home and see his father. The second to announce that he was the Messiah. And the third, he didn't even make it into the temple. He flipped over the money changers and said, you turn my father's house into a den of thieves. Now, Jesus wanted to make sure that God's people got his message. Why didn't he go to church? Because that's not where the people were. Jesus gave the Sermon on the Mount, and then you know what he did right after that? He took a little kid's lunch who was fishing on the end of the at the end of the water, and he said, "Give me those." And he took a couple of loaves of bread and a couple of fish, and he fed 5,000 people, and still had stuff over. Because nothing talks better than a great promo, and nothing sells better than a great spectacle. So if you know how to cut a great promo and you know how to give a great spectacle, the one thing you should not do is settle for, well, that's just how the business is. But because you don't recognize your greatness, you are played to believe that humility is what you're supposed to have, and what you're supposed to be is humble at all times. It is there to diminish you. Notice whenever they talk about someone like you and I, someone who is black, who is about that life, who wants to be empowered, they say, oh, well, you know, they sure have a lot of opinions, don't they? If they give you a compliment, they say, oh, you're so well spoken, don't they? Then they tell you, oh, well, you know, you're uppity. You know what uppity is? It's talk for you're a Negro that doesn't know his place.
I'm asking this question. Since the other jewel was dropped, Leo Rush situation, have you heard about it?
I've heard bits and pieces. I don't know the whole story.
The whole situation is, from what I've read and what the few little inside info I have, is that he felt he was underpaid.
Mm-hmm.
He felt like, yo, listen, I deserve more money than what you guys are giving me.
Mm-hmm.
And his backstage stuff wasn't the greatest.
No.
He's a young cat,
Uh-huh.
brought all of his friends backstage, doing stuff. You're not kind of breaking the rules.
Yeah.
Pissed off the elder statement black guy, Mark Henry,
Yeah.
because he wasn't 100% honest with him.
Mm-hmm.
And they offered him a contract, an extension.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was from, I could be wrong, it was over either 4 or 5 years, about $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
He felt that was too little for him.
Yeah.
For who he is.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on what I've just said, which is not 100%,
Right.
but what is your opinion on that?
I have several. The first is, for you, I have 2 words, Enzo Amore. Enzo Amore did everything that Leo Rush did, but somehow he still had the Cruiserweight title. Where's Leo Rush's title? On top of that, I'll give you another name, Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley's first run in WWE was laughable at best. The haircut thing, whoopity fucking do. Bobby Lashley couldn't talk his way out of a wet paper bag with the voice of Ving Rhames in his throat. You know I'm telling the truth. Bobby, it's not that he's not good enough to be the champion, it's just that his mouthpiece is horrible. He's literally a swole black version of Yokozuna. He just needs to be quiet and wrestle. The problem is, when you have someone like Leo Rush who's phenomenal on the mic, knows how to be a heel, knows how to support the talent that he's there to support, and he can actually go in the ring to the point where Topanga, for Christ's sake, Daniel Festival, Lord Jesus, everybody knows that Topanga's a wrestling fan, and she was like, he is the best wrestler. I found out about Leo Rush because she said he was dope. You understand what I'm saying? And shout out to my sister, but I'm saying I'm a Topanga fan. I ain't gonna lie to you. So there's something.
Every black
man who
was a Topanga fan. There's nothing wrong with it. She was the one curvy white girl on TV. So when you whatever age, you're like, this exists?
What, is she mixed? Is she
what?
Right. The thing of it is, Leo Rush suffers from a few things, and I'm sorry, I hate to say this to you. Mark Henry, to me, nice guy, but I don't respect him. And I'm going to tell you
I'm going to defend him. He's one of the greatest, and he does the great for the business.
Absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't respect him for this reason. When asked why there weren't any black men to carry Vince's strap He said, well, I was an ECW champion, and I was the world champion, but you weren't the WWE champion, were you, Mark? Well, no, I wasn't. You already know what it is. It took Kofi. That's why you had so many wrestlers crying their eyes out who looked like you and I when they saw Kofi get that belt. And still, he has not had one ADOS hold that belt. And you can count Dwayne, but you and I both know that Dwayne is what I like to call, how can I put this gently? Oh, fuck it, I can't. He's somebody who is literally has the complexion for the protection for the collection. Meaning that if you, right now, as handsome as you are, as built as you are, were to go to Hollywood and say, I want to play Hercules, they say, Negro, get your ass to the back of the line and mind your business. Nobody better than I when The Rock did. He is racially ambiguous. He don't count. You know it, because most people don't even know that he's half black. Most people know he's Samoan. When you even think about his daddy, you barely see him. When last time you saw Soul Man Rocky Johnson anywhere near anything WWE? But you sure enough see them ideas everywhere.
Good point. I'm going to have to hit you back, though.
Feel free.
Hit you back.
Let's go.
Because I have to hit you back on a couple of things.
Come on.
I love Mark.
I love Mark,
I met Mark a couple years ago. He did an event for me.
Mm-hmm.
Asked him the same damn question you asked.
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions I do 100% agree with him is not enough of people that look like me and you in the business.
Right.
Now, there's a lot more.
Right.
So if there's not another champion within the next 3 or 4 years, that's by some problems. Mm-hmm. But at the time when he was there wasn't a lot.
Right.
And I have to agree with him on that point.
Okay.
Because the pool was so small that you couldn't find the ones to make them a star. They didn't have all for what it takes. Ahmed Johnson. Hold on. But before we go, wait. Ahmed Johnson was getting a bigger pop than Stone Cold Steve Austin at one time.
Facts.
Ahmed Johnson was a piece of shit backstage.
Amen.
And that's the reason why he couldn't last a minute. And then he also kicked, it's not funny, kicked Ron Simmons in the kidney, had him out for 6 to 7 months, and then Ron came back and beat his ass literally in the ring. Yeah. So Ahmed was gone. Yeah. Now, let's talk about who could have been champion within this time. Okay. Who do you think should have been champion as being African American, a person of color?
Okay, great question. I honestly think why can't I call his fucking name? Shad Gaspard, I think, would have been a great champion if he was actually given a chance. I honestly do. I think Shad Gaspard is phenomenal.
Super nice guy, by the way.
Super nice guy. Both him and JTG took chicken shit and made chicken salad.
We had a feud online together. It was fun.
I like Shad Gaspard a lot. Titus O'Neil.
No.
Here's the only thing I don't like about Titus O'Neil. He doesn't have what it takes on the mic. But I do think that he could have won. I really do. If they had taken him to the Paul Heyman, Dusty Rhodes school of promos, like what the NXT kids got, Titus O'Neil could have been something. He's already America's goddamn dad. He still looks good. He could actually win. I think he could have won. Let's see who else. Let's see. We're going to talk about black people from that particular time. MVP. V-fucking-N. MVP.
Okay, I give you that one. I will give you that. I will give you. I can halfway argue with you with Shad. Halfway. Titus, I ain't giving you. I ain't giving you Titus. I'm not giving you Titus. MVP. I will definitely give you MVP.
Why all that build up and then they never gave him the strap? The U.S. title is nice, but you know at that time the U.S. title.
But was he leaving at the time? Was he about to leave?
It's not that he wanted to leave, but come on, they wasn't.
No, he said he was going to leave though. He had. I'm pretty sure the time that we're talking about, where he got red hot, they offered him a new contract, and he said, "I'm going to New Japan." That might have been the reason why. But regardless of that, you're 100% right on him. That's one person I will 100% give you on that one.
Here's the thing. Here's what you don't know. Because I'm the type of guy that like my bucket list, and one of the things I'm going to do in the next 2 years is I'm going to go do every single WWE pay-per-view for a year. I'm taking her with me. Every single one.
You want to do that?
Yes. Every single one. Like she goes to wrestling. My wife will go if she's not around, but me and her, we go to wrestling. She has a thing for Roman Reigns. I'm not really here for the whole Samoan thing, but okay, whatever.
Every woman likes Roman Reigns.
I know.
He's like kind of black, kind of not black, long hair.
Yeah. Racially ambiguous.
Got the beard, you know.
Here's the thing.
And he swagged.
I have a buddy who made this incredible sign. He's a graphic artist. He got it printed out, and it said MVP University, major, ballin'. WWE ripped that sign, took it from him. And this is
Really?
way before any rumors of MVP willing to leave. True story. Yeah, so I think that there are certain people that they only want to, it's the Icarus syndrome. Don't get too close to the sun and don't get too low to the water. Everybody leaves that part out of that analogy. Don't get too low to the water. Don't get too close to the sun. They want the black people in the middle. You can't say MVP wasn't good on the mic. You can't say he didn't work. You can't say he didn't have good shape. You can't say that when he had to lose to somebody, he did not put them over. MVP was everything they built him up to be, and they let him down. They failed him. He would not have gone to New Japan if they had done right by him. And if anybody out of everybody I've said deserved the strap, Montel Vontavious Porter deserved the strap. Not to mention, have you seen his fucking TED Talk?
No, it's phenomenal. I love MVP. I love MVP. That's what I'll give you. I'll give you him. Shad didn't spend enough time for me. He was too much in that tag team thing.
Exactly.
So he didn't get the full thing. And you start reading enough books.
Yeah.
At that age, you start like, these men like, fuck these niggas. Get out of here. I can't like you. Because that was the time when I'm reading about Malcolm X.
Yo.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't appreciate that until later on when I went back to stuff. Like certain people I don't appreciate at the time until later on. When you look past that and you do so. Shad is like, what is he, 6'5", 6'6"?
He's the prototype for God of War.
Yeah.
They literally use his body for God of War.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Shad Gaspard. Google it. On top of that, if there's no Shad Gaspard, if there's no JTG, is there Street Profits?
There's no Usos either.
There's no Usos. Because everything the Usos does, you can literally line promos up. And if you close your eyes hard enough and you listen just a little bit like this, you kind of hear.
Street Profits did win the title recently.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that's a makeup for crime time. I think that's overcharging niggas for what they did for the Cold Crush. You don't have the Street Profits without having crime time. Pioneers get scalped. Settlers prosper. They took chicken shit, made it chicken salad. They turned it into a fine 4-course chicken meal. They turned that shit into chicken Kiev.
I think they're coming back. I think they're low-key coming back.
They have to. Have you seen their internet promos?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's that, and also they're making a lot of indie dates.
Yeah.
And I hit up Shad like, yo, so you guys coming back? That's where he left me at.
Yeah.
And then I bumped into JTG at Wale Mania.
Yeah.
Because after we had me and him all of us had like this mini with my boys say the boy that you met today.
Yeah.
And myself, we got like a mini online beef. I randomly started up. I was like, Shad is Haitian? Oh, we started some shit. So we did that, and then like I said before, these guys are some of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. Coming from that business, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Super
down to earth. And JCD was like, yeah, they spoke to us, so I don't know. What does that mean? This is me. You know what I mean? Right. And before we move on, shout out to Shad because I introduced him to my boy who's wrestling.
Right.
My boy's like 2 or 3 years into the game. Shout out to Isaiah Wolf. Mm-hmm. Shad sat down with my boy at a party and looked at his tape.
Wow.
Looked at his movie videos like, yo, okay, you did that wrong. Now fix this. Do this. All right, cool. I love what you're doing there, but let's do this. He didn't have to do that.
No, he didn't.
And that love that I saw, that I was like, yo, that Kofi moment, one of the greatest things in the world, just to kind of let's tie this all up with what we just spoke about, was amazing. But what Shad did showed me the brotherhood within the brotherhood.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And he still hits up my boy up to this day. He'll put a video up. My boy tells me Chad would sometimes message him yo, fuck you doing?
What are you doing?
Do this next time.
Right.
And it's the most just beautiful thing. And the passion that you're showing right now shows how we're needed in this business, but we're not giving 100% in the business a lot of times. And I've heard rumors about it. I've read JTD's book, which is one of my favorite books ever. Both of them. And I understand where you're coming from 100% as being a person. So how does somebody maneuver through that? Just to follow up the question is you're dealing with all this corporate America shit. Mm-hmm. Just anybody, doesn't matter what color, what skin color, you have to deal with corporate America bullshit regardless.
Whether you're a woman, whether you are gay, hell, whether you're a white guy, sometimes you got shit you got to deal with.
Exactly. So you're dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're a person of color.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you realize my brand is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let me rephrase the question. I'm in the indie circuit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
WWE calls me.
Okay.
Hey, I'm gonna give you a wrestling name. Davey Boy, not Davey Boy. Davey R.
Right.
Davey R. Davey R. They call you. Ring, 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 ring. Davey R. We love what you're doing right now. It's me, Vince. Come on in. I want to speak to you. I want to sit down with you. You get called in. What do?
You take the meeting. You take the fucking meeting. And you see what they have. I will tell you this, I don't care what business it is. Their offer to you is always their first offer. They want to see what you'll do. You can always come back. If they ask you what a number is, you say, well, make me an offer, I'm more than willing to work within your budget. And then they'll say, well, our budget is whatever this lowball fucking number is that you know that you deserve more than that. Then you say, well, listen, we're just a little bit apart. These are my needs. A lot of times wrestlers and just people in general go into things talking about their wants. Well, shit, I want a Ferrari and a harem, but that shit ain't gonna goddamn happen. So I gotta talk about what my needs are. I have a wife, I have 2 children, I have a 72-year-old mother I gotta take care of. You know, things of that nature are what come out of my mouth whenever I'm negotiating a situation. So if you come from a place of needs, you can't argue somebody's needs. You can argue their wants all day, you know, but you can't argue the needs. And so make sure that you put in the dollar behind that amount and usually double that. That way you can kind of hit at about 25.
Let's rewind that again, because I want people to. You're saying some shit, and I want people to better hear. So first things first, you take the meeting, correct?
Take the meeting, absolutely, you take the meeting.
Why?
No one ever died from a meeting.
Cool. Number 2, you hear what they say, hear them out.
You hear them out.
And you said that number is usually a lowball number.
Absolutely. Their first offer is a lowball number because they want to see if you're a jump. See, people who just say yes, those are people who are groupies and they know they got you and they know that you'll never be anything. Even Kurt Angle turned down their first offer. He may say that it was a mistake, but yeah, he made a mistake. He was Olympic gold medalist and they wanted it. So he came back and he looked at it and said, okay, yeah, I'll do this. We're not going to give you that money now. Okay, cool. Sometimes you shoot your shot and you lose, but at least you know where you stand. But my whole thing is, whatever your number is for your needs, you need to have a number in your head, and then you double that number.
And then you said you gotta tell them what your needs are.
Yes, not your wants.
Explain that a little bit more.
Okay. Mr. McMahon, listen, I have a wife. I have a kid that has...
What if he says he doesn't care? What if he says, like, okay, you have a wife. Everybody has a wife here. Everybody has this and that.
Great. You called me and said that I'm a guy that you want. I really want to make this happen. The one thing that I don't want to have happen is I'm in the ring and I put somebody's life at risk because I'm too worried about making sure that my kid who has special needs isn't taken care of properly when I'm going to be on the road breaking my back. And rest assured, I'm going to break my back for you if that's what it calls for. I don't want to have to make a mistake, have somebody's life in my hands because I have other people's lives in my hands that I have to worry about. All right, this is exactly what I need in order to make that happen. I don't think that's any less reasonable than you mortgaging your house in order to make WrestleMania 3 happen.
Awesome. What's after the needs now?
So now that we talk about needs, then you talk about, you want to ask about, what is it that he saw? What is it that he liked? You need to make sure that he is reselling himself on the fact that he called you, and then you need to find out what those things are. That way you know and he knows what it is, so that you know exactly what is expected of you. Then you capitalize on those things. The other thing that people do that's a huge mistake is they go in their first day and they just, boom, I got all this shit. No. You hold some things back. I didn't find out my wife was a phenomenal cook until 2 years into our relationship. And the reason I found out was because my mother-in-law let it slip. And I said, oh, wait, I'm telling you, we're doing steak dinners or not. You can burn? Oh, no. She cursed my mother-in-law out after that, but the point of it is, you still need to hold something back. You need to have something there. So
what do you mean by that exactly? So if a wrestler, how does a wrestler hold, what does the wrestler need to hold back exactly?
Okay, you can cut a good promo, but you don't want to cut your pipe bomb promo in NXT. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things that you need to keep. If you know how to do a really dope 720, phenomenal. You might not want to hold it until such time as you're in title contention. You don't want to do it on your first enhancement match.
Okay, but why would you, would that be like you're not giving 100%?
You are giving 100%.
Okay.
Because you're doing exactly what the job calls. You're not shortchanging anybody, but everybody's got something in the tank that most people don't know that they can do. You understand what I'm saying? Like most people don't know I play 7 instruments, but I can play 7 instruments. You know, most people don't know that I'm a graphic designer. Most people don't know, you know, that I'm able to take a business and help them figure out exactly where their holes are in a matter of 5 minutes. There's certain things that I hold back because those are weapons. It's like when Puff Daddy got fired from Any Given Sunday and they hired Jamie Foxx, but they said in order for you to have this role, you got to show up every day. And do you know how to play quarterback? Yeah, he does. Well, you want to play Ray Charles, but can you play stride piano? Well, yeah, I can. Well, Ray wants to sing. Okay, cool. Here we go. Most people don't know that Jamie Foxx started playing stride piano. You understand what I'm saying? There's always a weapon in the quiver. That doesn't mean that you're not giving 100%. Do you think Jamie Foxx gave any less for bait than he did for Ray? No. He was doing what the job required. The job in bait was not to play stride piano. So was he holding back, or was he keeping something in the quilt?
So you're saying more like you have a toolbox.
Yes.
Those tools are your skills.
Yes.
So if the skill is you need a screwdriver, you're not gonna take out a hammer.
Exactly.
Okay, I see. Better said. So you get, you know, that after that part, what's next?
After that, you work on doing the one thing that most people don't do very well, and that's running a campaign. Every time that you are in the public eye, I don't care what you're doing, I don't care if you run a hot dog cart, you are campaigning for people's eyes, ears, and attention. You're campaigning for their love. You're campaigning for their disdain. You're campaigning to get them talking. You're campaigning for them to buy your car, whatever it is. You want to be their candidate. You want to show up wherever they are. You want them to feel like they're a part of that process, that you're taking them on the journey. Most people show the result. I don't know what you look like before you got that swole. I'm pretty sure you wasn't born that swole.
Nah, I'm Haitian, so we born.
Yeah, y'all kind of born swole, but you get my point. There's still a bunch of footage that was never shot of you in the gym.
Yeah.
From the beginning. You understand what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. If there is, you need to start showing it because people love the journey. Look at Rocky Balboa. Look at Superman. Like, people love the hero's journey, but most people don't take advantage of the hero's journey outside of comic book movies and pro wrestling. You need to take people on that journey. You need to show them things. The one great thing Leo Rush did in his off time was his ability to talk about the fact that he's a depression sufferer. I, as a depression sufferer, have a newfound respect for Leo Rush because I know what that space is. When you have a genius level of talent, there's a trade-off.
It's my brother, actually. My brother has a genius level of creativity, but he doesn't know how to fully open that up because of his depression.
Yeah.
One of the most, it's very hard for him, and it hurts me being the older brother.
Right.
And I see that, and I remember Big Cass.
Yeah.
Just released a video about that whole thing, how he was going through depression and anxiety during that whole thing.
Yeah.
Now let's go back and kind of veered off, but we kind of said something good.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about. So you get out of the campaign. Start the campaign. People are seeing you. I want you to break down the campaign a little bit because we're on more of a broad spectrum on that one. How do you do a campaign?
Okay, step one is just basic awareness. Hi, my name is. You know, step two is looking at the landscape, right? So this is what everyone else is doing. So this is the flow of the river. I'm swimming upstream, bitch. Come with me upstream. Because upstream, this is what's happening. Salmon swim upstream. You see what I'm saying? Salmon's a lot more expensive than tilapia, there's a reason. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta zig when everybody else is zagging. And most people are afraid to zig because they don't want to mess up the status quo. But if you don't mess up the status quo, you don't have Stone Cold. You don't have The Rock. You don't have Piper. You don't have Flair. You don't have a crime time to set the stage for people like the Street Profits. So you've got to be willing to take your shot doing things in your own particular way because they've already got enough people who can just do the job. What's your particular flair on it? I guarantee my grilled cheese sandwich is better than yours. I got money on it.
No, my shit is fire.
Bro, I'm telling you it's not.
No, I'm dead serious.
I'm
My grilled
trying to
cheese is fire. Put the garlic on that.
I feel
on
you.
the bread. What?
Bro,
I'm lactose intolerant, and my grilled cheese is fire. I know it's fire. Yo, I love me some grilled with the
bro. Listen, I start with the rosemary and butter sauce like Boomerang. On top of that, I take mayonnaise and I put it on the outside of the bread, and then I put it down.
Why mayonnaise?
Because it's got eggs and oil in it, it actually sears in the flavors. On top of that,
steal this.
Listen,
You're going to have this? Is it that good?
Trust me. My grilled cheese is what that is. First of all, I take extra thick cut apple with smoked bacon. I don't know if you're into pork, but it's phenomenal. And I make sure that I grill that bad boy to perfection, and I stack, and then I layer. So I'll go pepper jack, white American, brie.
Oh, you having an orgy, bro? Come on, that's why you're winning right here. That's it's an orgy sandwich.
What I'm saying is, it's a fucking grilled cheese sandwich to most people. To me, it's a Stradivarius, and I'm gonna play it like one. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what it is. We don't understand that the simple things can be something. I'll never forget Paul Heyman famously said, it's not about the finisher. It's what you make the finisher. If someone has a headlock, and that headlock is just sold in such a way, it'll be the most powerful thing in the world. Lacey Evans is winning off a punch in the mouth. And she's nowhere near as big as the Big Show. And you believe that woman's right is enough to knock you the hell out. Because it's sold that way, and it's promoted that way, and it's supported that way. So if enough people are looking for that, it's coming. And that's what it is. DDP, 36 years old. Got in the wrestling, they told him he was too old. He did it. Diamond Cutter, say what you want. DDP is a Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah,
The end.
It's not denying that.
Like let's not start tripping. But he went against the grain.
Sorry, I'm gonna cut you off. Still didn't tell me 3 superheroes.
Oh, 3 superheroes. Great question. Wow, that's a loaded one. I really have to take a second on that one. Tony Stark, without a doubt. I've always been a Tony Stark fan. Tortured genius, alcoholic past. I can dig that. I got a long family history of alcoholism, so I can appreciate that. Innovative, people don't get him. Eccentric genius. I'm here for that. I'm also a huge fan of Spider-Man because I know what it is to be the nerdy kid that people don't understand. And I know what it is to want the super hot girl that people think is out of your league.
That's my whole life.
And I also understand how much regret can not only be your touchstone, but can be your motivator. And the fact that he didn't stop that robber means that his Uncle Ben wouldn't have been here. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. And then you look at somebody like Reed Richards.
All the intelligent people.
Yeah, I got a thing for intelligence. You know what I'm saying? And to me, this is a tie between Reed Richards and T'Challa, and I'll tell you why. The thing that I give Reed Richards over T'Challa is that T'Challa not only had the advantage of Wakandan technology, he also had the advantage of a heritage of intellectual geniuses. Reed Richards didn't have that. So everything Reed came from the 2 square feet of real estate in between his ears. You know what I'm saying? And he was also somebody that people didn't respect. You know, which is why I like the second Fantastic Four movie. People shit on it, but I only like it for that one scene where the general is like, yeah, but you probably don't know anything about football. I said, no, you're right, I don't know shit about football. You know, I stayed and I studied while you were running plays, and you don't seem to understand that I married the finest girl in the world, and not only that, you're a 4-star general, but you're coming to me to solve your problems, so yeah, I'll be a nerd all day. Because at the end of the day, the same people who used to call me nerd, you know what they call me now? Mr. Anderson. End of discussion. So those are my 3 superheroes.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
Not to mention there's one thing about Mr. Fantastic. I think every man would stick it at.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Your daughter saying
Yeah. I mean, same thing with Inspector Gadget. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Chief of Staff.
No, we're not gonna do that. But you know, it's a lie.
Move back to the campaign. Sorry, guys. We kind of
veered off.
But go back to the campaign. You said the last thing you said was moving upstream.
Yeah.
That's something that people don't want to do. Go against the current wave of things. What's after that?
You have to double down on innovation, and then once you get to that point, once you're able to double down on innovation, you're able to then start calling more shots and start doing more things. And then there comes that point where you have to reach the crossroads. Now the crossroads is, do you stay with this company, with this job, with this situation as it is, or do you act like I'll be sure at 88 and go off on your own, girl? You know what I mean? And for me, the lure of freedom and calling my own shots is as important to me as the alleged gilded cage of stability that a job provides. You know, I went and did a career day, and this woman who was teaching the class was like, well, Mr. Anderson, you sing a lot of things, and I understand that, you make this money, and that's wonderful, and this, that, and the third, but my husband makes 6 figures too, and he loves his job. Great, I'm glad he loves his job. I said, you know why? I have a much more easier life than your husband. So why? I said, because I cannot be fired. Your husband gets fired, there's a problem, because neither of you want to live on a teacher's salary. The end. I call my shots. If I decide that I'm not going to wake up, if I have a problem where as though I cannot, I can't function, I need some time off, I'm solving people's problems for a living.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I do.
Mm-hmm.
So if I need time for myself, Carla, I need a week, maybe 2. Business still runs. I call my shots. I am the master of my domain. Shout to Seinfeld. I am the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my soul. There's no freedom like that in America for a black man. Nothing like it. There's nothing like it whatsoever. And it doesn't mean that I'm making so much phenomenal money that I don't have a worry in the world, but what it means is I know how to get it. And I'm going to find a way to get it, one way or the other. And I don't have to answer to anybody but, well, okay, I got to answer to God, and I got to answer to my wife and my kids, but what man doesn't?
Exactly.
What responsible man doesn't? But I agree with I agree with Dave Dash. I don't think that any grown, self-respecting man should call another man boss. Don't.
I think we're gonna end on that. Yo, thank you so much, Mr. Anderson.
Just call me Dave. Not that important.
Mr. Dave Anderson, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to me about wrestling, comic books, and business.
Yes, sir.
I highly appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Sir Wilkins of the Job Tears podcast. It's another episode of Talk to Us. And we're done. Good night.
Hope I can stick up and do it for you.
No, you're fine. You did a phenomenal job.
I'm trying.